Alright, and I'm live. I'm sorry, I'm like semi-sick. You're not sick. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah. So my parents went rock hunting again, and I am stuck at home doing nothing. I was gonna go to the old penitentiary in Boise with a couple of my friends, but I think they're busy that or they just don't want to go anywhere, which I can understand because it's Memorial Day and all. So I can understand that if they don't want to go anywhere and do stuff because it'll be pretty busy if if we go to to like any other places. Uh, bed around midnight-ish because partly because I just wanted to stay up, but also because I was watching Supernatural. So I was talking to my friend, Katrina, about it. Like, well, not about it, but we were just talking, and then she went to bed. I was like, oh, she must have gone to bed. I asked her, I was like, when did you go to bed? And she's like, oh, I went to bed around 11:15ish. Like, that's early. No, I just like couldn't go to sleep or anything. I stayed up. Because I don't have school at all this week. I am so glad school is over. I was just, I was done with school. I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. I hate school and finals and anything else that has to do with school unless it's um events or something like field trips. Alright. So so many of you or many of the people watching probably don't know, but I have an older brother and he joined the military when he was a senior in high school. So he went to boot camp before he started his senior year. And then he did his senior year in school and then he went off. And when he left, I got super emotional and super depressed because he was, even though he didn't really like me, he was still a role model for me because the way he handled a lot of the things that happened in his life and with our dad and stuff, he handled it so well, and I looked up to him a lot because of that. And so when he left, it was like part of me was leaving when he left, and it really shook me up. So I didn't go well through that. It wasn't a good thing for me that he left. And I actually don't know a whole lot of people that are in the military, but I do know a couple, and a couple of them are family members. Like my dad, he was in the Navy, and the stories he tells are sometimes I wonder if he was actually in the Navy because he tells about traveling the world and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, you can do that in the Navy, but it's I don't know, just the way he describes them, it's definitely interesting. But I don't mind him telling stories. I don't ask him about stories a lot. So it's whenever he tells any sort of stories about the Navy and his experience in it, it's like a good moment for him because he just doesn't talk about that. So I'm like, okay. So I just let him have a moment. Um, his son, because he's my stepdad. His son, so my stepbrother, he's in the National Guard with my brother, but I don't think they're in the same platoon or battalion or whatever it is, however that works. I don't think they're in the same thing. Division, I guess that's what you call it. But he's a sergeant, and I don't really hear from him a lot because we don't go and visit him. So it's like I don't know how to describe it. Then I have a close family friend. He's in the Marines, and I didn't know he went over to Afghanistan till he got back, because his mom didn't really tell us, and he didn't really say goodbye, I guess. So I didn't know he was over in Afghanistan until he came back, and he's like, yeah, I was in Afghanistan. Because I asked him where he was. I'm like, where have you been? And he goes, oh, I was in Afghanistan. That one hit me. Because Afghanistan at the time, parts of it had huge war going on and stuff. So, that one hurt. I would have wrote him letters and stuff, but I didn't know he was over there. And then my brother, he's in Iraq. Jeffrey, the one that was in the National Guard. He went over to Iraq. And I sent him letters and stuff, but I guess he's not really a letter type person. So I only got like 1 or 2 back. I think I actually got 1 back, and I lost the letter. I feel kind of bad. But I lost the letter, and I have the envelope. I still can't figure that one out. I must have accidentally thrown the letter away or something, but I can't find the letter, and I feel very bad. Because he doesn't really write, and he didn't when he was over there. So I don't know. I guess it just meant, like, it meant a lot when he wrote to me, and he sent a letter, and then to go and lose it, it's kind of hard. I just haven't told him, even though he probably wouldn't care, but oh well. I have a couple friends that are still in the military. I have Sergeant Collins. I think she's a sergeant. No, it says FSC. I don't know what that means. I mean SFC. I don't know what that means. So let's see. It says Sergeant First Class is a 7th enlisted rank in the U.S. Army. So I guess she is a sergeant. She's also a recruiting person, and she's really nice. I've met her at school before because she'd come to school and recruit. So I met her at school a couple of times, and she's super nice. Most of the recruiters are, so I don't have to worry about that. But most of them are like, oh, do you have any like family members in the military or anything? And I go, yeah, I have 2 brothers. My dad was in the Navy. And I'm like, oh, nice. You know, are you interested in pursuing the military? What's it called? I don't know. It's like, are you interested in pursuing military education? I don't know. Whatever, they just ask if you're interested in being in the military. And for a while, like when my brother was in Iraq, I went all crazy. Like I wanted to be in the National Guard. I wanted to be just like him. I was following in his footsteps and everything. And my mom, she sort of broke down when I told her that I wanted to join. Because I was 13. Well, not 13. When I told her I wanted to join, I was 10. And I was like, I want to go overseas. I want to go to Iraq. I want to do what my brother did. I want to be just like him. And I was wanting to follow in his shadow and everything. And she sort of broke down because when you already have a family member overseas and they have that chance of coming home in a coffin, it's really hard. Because I mean, I worried a lot about my brother. He didn't keep in touch a lot. Of course, I guess he can't, but it was hard. He keeps when he can't, when he could, but I never really got to talk to him that much. I did a couple of the times, but most of the times he just wanted to talk to my mom to make sure, that she knew he was safe and stuff. I can understand that, but I guess it was just really hard for my mom. And then my sister started pursuing the military career, and she, mom and dad had told her to join the Air Force because it would have been better. And she was iffy about the Air Force. She didn't really want to go into the Air Force. She just wanted to join the military. And then Eli came. Like, Eli's one of our ex-boyfriends. And he didn't like the fact that there's that percentage of her coming home in a coffin too. So she stopped pursuing the Air Force career. And my parents blamed Eli for that, which I don't really understand. Eli was giving her a choice. He was saying you can join the Air Force or you can't. It's like up to you. I just don't want you coming home with him. And Becca understood that. She just, I don't know, she made up her mind and she didn't want to join the Air Force, and my parents took that as Eli's fault, and still they have a huge grudge against him, which I don't understand to this day. Because it's been years since they even talked, and my parents still, mostly my mom though, she still has this huge grudge against Eli. I'm just over there like, it's whatever. It was her choice, not yours. So, yeah. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Becca actually did join the Air Force. Like, what she would have done. She never really told me what career in the Air Force she wanted to join or to do. She was sort of like me. She just wanted to join because Jeffrey joined. And we figured it was a way to get out of the house, and it was a way to get away from mom, get away from dad. Because, I mean, dad wasn't the best dad at all. I'm not going to go into any detail, but he just wasn't the best dad. But somebody would have been like, yeah, I want your dad, he's nice, he's cool. That was never my dad. And my biological dad was worse. He left when I was 7. And, like, one day I just got this letter from, I don't remember where it was from, but it was, like, from a prison. And Becca's like, yeah, he's in prison. And, like, she knew all along. She just was sort of waiting for the right time to tell me, but also waiting for me to figure out that he was never coming back. And then when we got the letter, me and Becca were sort of shocked. Like, mostly Becca was, because she figured that he wouldn't want to keep in contact with me at all. And then it was a card mostly, but it was like, there was a letter inside too. And he made all these promises. He promised that once he got out, he would come and get me, and we would go to Nevada, and we'd see all our family, well, his side of the family and stuff. And I like that. Like, any 13-year-old who lost their dad would be like, yeah, let's go. And so I'm like, okay. And then we wrote a letter back, and we went to go mail it, and then Mom interceded it. Well, I think she did, because we didn't get any letters back. So she said that there were more too, other than the one that we found. She had interceded all the other ones, and she just didn't have enough time to get to that one. And I remember I was mad at her for the longest time. I couldn't understand why she'd do that, because she told me that it was to protect me, and now I understand that, because if me and Becca wouldn't have found that letter, then life would be semi different. Like I blamed Mom for my dad going to jail. I blamed my mom, because she never really liked him, and it hit me hard when she's like, he's never gonna keep those promises. I mean, it was really hard. And then he said that he was getting out in like a year or two or something like that, and he come like a couple years later. It was 13 when he got out. I mean, I was 13, but when I got the letter, I don't think I was 13. I think I was like 11 or something. But when he came out and got out of prison, he didn't come and see us at all. He didn't keep any of his promises, and by that time, I just gave up. I'm like, I don't want him to be a part of my life anymore. I don't want to hear from him. I don't want any contact. Nothing. And my mom's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I sat down at the table with my dad, my stepdad, and my mom, and I told him that if my biological dad ever stopped by and I was here, that I'd want them to tell him that I didn't want to talk to him, I didn't want to see him again, and to never come back. And I'm not sure if that was the wisest choice I made, because later, my uncle, my biological brother, he came by, and he was wanting to like get to know me better than what he did. And I sort of felt like my dad put him up to that. And it just, I wasn't sure what I should have done, but I was keeping in contact with him, and then it was like we lost touch after a little while, and then last year, he got in contact with us again, and I went up to high school camp, and usually my mom and dad write me like at least a letter when I'm up there, and I didn't really get a letter until like the day before we left, and it was like, oh, can't wait for you to come home, and that's it. Like I didn't get anything else. And that Friday, the day before we left high school camp, my youth pastor, he was on the phone, and like on the camp phone, and he started crying, and I couldn't but think something happened to my parents, or something wrong had gone, like something had gone wrong. And we were sitting there, and it was before we went to the lake, and we're all standing there wondering why Nate is crying and why he can't speak and stuff because he's crying. And he looks up as like tears run down his face. And he goes, Marilyn was found dead in her car. And Marilyn was our pastor's wife. And she had taught the little kids Sunday school when I was little. And to hear him say that she was found dead in her car, it was like when the ambulance came for our neighbor Richard, because his daughter came over to get the keys because she didn't have the keys to his house with her. And she walked in, and then a minute later, you hear the ambulance and the cops show up at his place. And Mom went to go see what it was. And she told me and Becca to stay there. And me and Becca went to go out, and Dad yelled at us to stay. And she comes back. And she has tears running down her face, and she says Richard passed away. And my sister took that very hard because Richard was like family. He was always there for us when my mom and Dad were fighting. And when Dad was yelling at us and stuff, he was our go-to. And to find out that we didn't have a go-to anymore, it hit my sister hard. And it hit me hard too. And it just, when Nate said that Marilyn passed away in her car, it hurt. And so that Friday we didn't really go to the lake because we took a minute to mourn for her loss and stuff. And nobody really wanted to do anything that day, so we canceled most of the fun events that we normally would do. And we just sat there. And when chapel time came, before we went to bed and stuff, all of us were still in shock that Marilyn had passed. And Nate had asked me to put together a video in memory of Marilyn. And it was nice to, I guess it was nice to know that she was in a better place, but it was still hard because I basically grew up with her. Like she always had an influence on me. Like I remember when I was really little, I wanted to be just like her. I wanted to be a little Sunday school teacher. And Nate had asked if anyone would like to share any special memories they had of Marilyn. And I didn't have the guts to say anything partly because I was crying too much, but partly because the memories I have of people, I usually keep them to myself. I don't tell a lot of people about the memories I have with the people I've lost. Because to me, those memories are special. Those memories are for me. And later, when we went to our cabins, we only had 2 girls' cabins, which is just like maybe Not even 16 people. We didn't even have 16 girls, including the counselors. And we went back to our cabins, and the other cabin had come over so they could mourn with us and stuff. And we combined our cabins and did a devo, and it hit most of us really hard when we did our devo because we didn't really know what to do. So we did memories and stuff about Maryland, and then we did how when someone dies that they're in a better place and stuff, and then we just did like a personal. We shared some things, and we we talked about how some people would take that as God like being rude or something, and that was hard. And then the next day we were all still in a little shock, and we went back home. We were on the bus ride back home, and I get home. My mom's looking at me like something had happened when I was gone. And I'm sitting there. It's a Saturday night. I'm just sitting in my room. And my mom comes in and goes, I have something to tell you. I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I have some bad news. And before I left for high school camp, my Uncle Robert, my biological dad's brother, he got in touch with us again, and then my dad started texting my mom's phone, and I blamed him, and I thought it was my uncle, and he told me that he would never do that, but I didn't have the nerves to believe him, because he'd been gone most of my life too, and so I blamed him, and I didn't, like, everyone wanted to hang out. I made up a lie and said I was busy, or that mom had something I needed to do, or just stupid things. And my mom sat on my bed, and I thought the thing that she was gonna tell me that something happened to him, that he was in the hospital or something. But it was worse than I expected. She sat on my bed and she started to cry, and she goes, "Your Uncle Robert passed away." And all I could do was sit there, and she wanted to go comfort me. And I just pushed her away. I started to blame God, because a lot of the people that I had loved had passed away, and I just wasn't understanding it. And I just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand why God would take such nice people away from us. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking, if only I had spent time with him, if only I hadn't made up stupid excuses, and if only I hadn't blamed him. And each day after that, I blamed myself. I held this. guys. I go. I told my friend what happened and how we had lost Marilyn and how I'd lost my uncle. And he said that it was all part of God's plan, that God had some big thing planned. I just didn't believe him because it didn't seem like it. It didn't seem like it at all. But yet my friend was there for me a lot when I was going through these difficulties. I just didn't never really give him like much gratitude or anything for being there. And he's not the type that does that is negativity. I mean, a couple of times that I was negative, he'd just be having a bad day or something, and he's like, I don't want negativity in my life, like right now or something. And I'd understand that. But when I was going through this, I kept saying sorry, and I talked about it to him. And finally, he just looked at me and he goes, Isabel, there's nothing to be sorry about. You're going through a difficulty. I can understand that. And he just said that he'd always be there for me. And just to hear someone actually say that, it sort of helped me. I didn't get over everything right away, but it helped me on the way to get over it. It helped me recover, and he's always been there, and I'm kind of glad for that because I'm not sure what I would have done without him. And I know when I was wanting to pursue the military life, I told him about it and how my brother was in the military and stuff, and he didn't really like that I was wanting to join the military, because we sort of had a thing, and he didn't want me to join the military because he was like Eli, and he goes, there's that possibility that you could end up coming home in a coffin, and he didn't really want that. He didn't want to have that chance. And I guess I could understand that. But to me, the military was everything. Like it was a huge passion for me that, it was something I needed to do. And I felt like I hit a roadblock when he said that he didn't really want me to join the military. And I'm like, okay. And then he went over to Israel, like just for like a vacation trip thing with friends and family. And he came back and he said he wanted to join the Israel Defense Forces. And I felt like it was nothing different than the military. And I just didn't really understand that. So I never really told him that I wanted to like still join the military. But now I'm not sure if I want to join the military. There are a lot of things going on in the military, I guess you could say. Because you always have that chance of coming home in a coffin. And I guess I just don't really want that chance anymore. I hear all the stories that have happened, and it sort of just brings me to tears because if I end up like getting married later on in life and I join the military and I die and say I had a kid or something, that kid's gonna go motherless until like my husband could get over me passing or something. And I don't really want that to happen. I don't really want to have like the chance of having my kid go motherless because his mother decided to join the military. I just don't know. I listen to all these tributes and stuff for like Memorial's Day, and it just like reminds me that my brother could have ended up dying and coming home in a coffin. I mean, I guess my brother still has that possibility because he's in the reserves, and when you're in the reserves, there's like they could pull you out of the reserves at any moment, and he's in there for 2 years, and my brother could end up going back, and he would still have that possibility. I just don't understand it.
Good morning. Thank you, Billy. You know I love you, brother. I also want to thank all of you for being here today. I'm both humbled and honored to be up here this morning. Memorial Day is a sacred day in America and a day when we put aside political differences and debate to honor the valor and sacrifices of the brave Americans who gave their lives in the service of our country. It's heartwarming to see so many of you here today. I would like to acknowledge everyone here who has served our great nation or is currently serving now. A very grateful nation salutes you. Samuel Adams, known as the father of the American Revolution, said, "The liberties of our country, the freedom of our civil constitution are worth defending at all hazards, and it is our duty to defend them." The brave American patriots we honor today did just that, and they paid for it with their lives. But, as General George Patton said, it is foolish and wrong to mourn the patriots who died. Rather, we should thank God such patriots lived. Freedom is never free. I would rather die for liberty than live under tyranny. So when I heard my country ask, "Whom shall I send and who will go for us?" I said, "Here I am, send me." Who am I? I am a carpenter, a teacher, a lawyer, a policeman, a fireman, a doctor, a farmer, a neighbor. I am your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your granddaughter, your grandson, your father, your mother, your daughter, your son. I died on an empty stomach and with frostbitten feet in Valley Forge. I died with grape shot in my heart at Gettysburg. I died at the Battle of Belleau Wood in World War I. I died storming Omaha Beach in the Second World War. I died cold and tired at the Chosin Reservoir in Korea. I died assaulting Hill 875 in the Central Highlands of Vietnam. I died from a roadside bomb in the center of Baghdad. I died.
So I would continue, but it it has the possibility of a copyright issue, so can't continue it. There is one, however, that I kind of that I kind of want to show.
Getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the beach telling me stories of the past, of a war that he'd fought in, the deeds that he'd done, and his exploits with his buddies. They were heroes, everyone. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer. Troll Bill has passed away. The world's a little poor, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children, his wife. For he lived an ordinary and quite uneventful life. Held a job, raised a family, quietly going
politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands filmed their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time they were young. But the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. Is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land a guy who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man? Or the ordinary fellow who in times of war and strife goes off to serve his country and offers up his life? A politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives, while the ordinary soldier who has offered up his all is paid off with a medal, perhaps a pension. It's so easy to forget, for it was so long ago that the old bills of our country went to battle. But we know it was not the politicians with their compromises and ploys who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, would you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or would you prefer a soldier who has sworn to defend his home, his kin, and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should remind us we may need his light again. For when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. If we cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his name. Perhaps just a simple in a paper that would say, our country is in mourning for a soldier died today.
So I had another army sergeant. Yeah, we shared that one. Some of the schools that are still still have school, they the kids, some of the kids think that this weekend is about having a 3-day weekend and not really about they don't really know the meaning of Memorial Day. I'm not saying that most don't, but some don't. They think that it's about having fun and having picnics and doing all this stuff, but it's not. It's about the men and women that have sacrificed so much, and some have sacrificed all. And they sacrifice themselves for people like me and for people like you that they don't even know. They gave so much to our country, and they go unnoticed unless you either know them or you know a friend who's a friend of them, or you just see something about it in the newspaper. Like, you don't actually notice them. And that bugs me when people don't really care. They don't really notice that tons of soldiers come back from overseas in coffins. That when they get back from fighting in the war, that they're not the same. They struggle to go back to their day-to-day lives because the war changed them. And sometimes it's not for the better. Sometimes it's for the worst. But they're changed, and their family members or their friends don't know how to help them, or they can't help them. That, or they just don't want help. It's kind of hard to help them when they don't want help, because they need the help. They just don't want to admit that they need the help. Like my brother, when he came back, him and my sister were living in an apartment together, and they're sharing an apartment. And my sister says that my brother would wake up screaming and stuff like that, and that he almost attacked my sister without even realizing that it was my sister. And she said that he finally realized that was her, and he just sat down and cried because he had almost killed my sister. He didn't mean to, but he had grabbed a knife and he was going to kill my sister. He didn't really know it was her. And they talked, and she said that he finally admitted that he had PTSD, that he was suffering from it. He just didn't know how to control it, or like he didn't know how to get help for it. And I've done research, and I try to help him. I just don't know how to help him. I don't know what to do. I don't really know how to help someone who needs help. Like, I know how to help people. I just don't know how to help my brother, because it's not an everyday thing that I see him or that I talk to him or things like that, and that he talks about his time overseas. Like, he barely admitted to my sister that he had a problem and that he needed to get it fixed. He didn't even actually admit to it. And there are a ton of soldiers out there who are suffering from the same thing. Only their situation could have been worse. Like with my brother, he said that he watched his best friend die. And as soon as my mom had told me that, because I was wanting to know what was wrong with him, my mom told me that, and she said that that he'd watched his best friend die. And that night, it was like I was there, like I was overseas with him, or that I was actually him. And the nightmares were horrible because they were so vivid and they were so realistic. Like I was there, and like I was Jeffrey, and I was seeing through his eyes, and I watched people die. And then it was like I was there in person after I watched a couple people die. And I look over and I see my brother standing next to a tank. They went to go fill it up, and then it blew up on him. And that felt so real. Like he's here, but he's not actually here. Like part of him's still over in Iraq, or part of him's just gone. And I wonder every day how he survives, like how he gets through his day. Because for the longest time, I was having those nightmares over and over and over again, and I could barely get through the day. I'd wake up and tears would be running down my face, like it could actually happen. And I'd wake up and I'd go to school and I couldn't talk about it. It was like I was there in person, overseas, and I couldn't talk about it because it hurt to even mention it. I never really told my mom this. I never really told anyone this, but it, like, that was part of the thing that changed me. It felt like I was going through the same thing that my brother was going through. And last year in marching band, I didn't join color guard like I usually do. And I was sitting there and we went to a Parma competition. It was just for the small schools. And usually the one who's the school that's hosting it goes on last because they're in for exhibition, which isn't like anything major. They're just not in the competition, so to speak. And they performed, and I was sitting there in the stands because we'd already performed. And then they said, that they're going to put on some fireworks and stuff. And they lit the first few off. And it was like gunshots. And I thought back to all the nightmares I had. And it was like everything came flooding back in. Like, I was there, and I was watching my best friend get hurt. And I was watching him get killed. And I watched my friend get wounded, and I was sitting in the helicopter holding his hand. As he spoke. Oh my God, I love that. didn't know how to deal with the fire break. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. And only one person knew what was going on. And I walked around back. They walked with me. And we were just sitting there. And I had my hand over my eyes and my ears because I didn't want to look. And I didn't want to hear him. Because it hurt me that it was actually happening to me. That I was going through this. And I never understood why. I never understood why it was happening to me. Like, why I was one having all these nightmares and struggling day to day just to get out of bed. It was hard for me to even get out of bed because it hurt so much to just like wake up. I still don't understand this. I don't know what good it does to tell you guys this, but it gets it off my mind, I guess. I don't know.
Some time back, I received in the name of our country the bodies of 4 Marines who had died while on active duty. I said then that there is a special sadness that accompanies the death of servicemen, for we're never quite good enough to them. Not really. We can't be. Because what they gave us is beyond our powers to repay. So when a serviceman dies, it's a tear in the fabric, a break in the whole, and all we can do is remember. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, brave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them, what they did, and why they had to be brave for us.
Well, I guess that's it. I don't have anything else that really needs to be said or anything else on my mind. So I guess that's it.